All right, what is up, YouTube? I'm back again for 2018. This time we're gonna do something different. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin. Remember, we talked about that. I think maybe it was the beginning of the year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. But we're gonna talk about how big Bitcoin has gone, and also we're gonna talk about should we short different stocks in the market. So let's go ahead and get to the video. Okay. So unfortunately, I do not have the same portfolio that I had last time. Of course, my account will be up. I think it'll probably be, up to 50% now that we still have a crazy stock market growth from the NASDAQ and from Apple and from the Starbucks and from other stocks like that. But from this portfolio, I think it's going to take us a while to get back to that 240 or 250 point. But at the same time, I think we might have some opportunities opening up in the commodity space. So as you see right here, we got Berkshire Hathaway, we got Microsoft, we got the triple Qs, and we got Starbucks. We're up about $3,100 on our position. Remember, like I said, this is a new account for us in 2018. Unfortunately, my account was kind of shut down because I really didn't trade or put some of my money in TD Ameritrade. So this time it'll be a lot different since now I have money in there other than just putting my money in Robinhood. But this is a simulated trading account. Of course, this is a lot of money, but at the same time, in order to get that experience, I suggest you go ahead and get a simulated trading account. So basically, I chose Berkshire Hathaway, Microsoft, Triple Qs, and Starbucks because I own Berkshire Hathaway B-class shares myself. I'm thinking about buying or purchasing Microsoft shares later on once it gets cheaper. And the Triple Qs, I've gave people advice to go ahead and buy that stock back when it was in the 140s or early. Starbucks is another stock that I do have in my account. And right now you're just seeing basically just me making successful trades or successful investments. So let's go ahead and break down it. Okay, so far what I'm seeing from gold is that gold looks like it's going to go ahead and go down. We can apply different support or resistance lines for gold so that way we can understand where exactly this thing is going. So let's go ahead and get our price level in there. So let's go ahead and start with gold right there. This is a resistance level of 1308. Let's get another resistance level of 1317. Another resistance level right here at 1324. And we can probably plot one right there at 1338. So as you see right here, gold has to go through a lot of levels of resistance just to break even higher. And I think this is where it's going to top out. As we see, we have a lot of overbought momentum and a lot of upward momentum. So at some point in time, this thing will go back down. So what I'm looking at going ahead and shorting gold. And if you know me, I know a pretty much ETFs galore in my head, and I know exactly what stocks to pick. So right now I might be looking at DGLD. Go ahead and capitalize on that opportunity, 3 times a return. If you cannot handle the 3 times a return, I suggest you don't trade the ETF or the leverage ETF altogether. You might just wait for it to fall back down so that way you get a position in on it. But for me, I'm looking forward to actually trading the stock. So what I didn't talk about is that I purchased a position in gold. So what I did, I bought GDX 21.95, sold it at high $23, and now the stock is pretty much just plateauing right here. And as you see, we got an overbought signal right there, pretty much letting me know go ahead and sell my shares, because remember, like I said, I don't invest in gold because it's not a profitable opportunity for me. But at the same time, if it does present opportunities for me to actually make some money, I'm gonna go ahead and buy gold. So let's talk about Bitcoin. I think the Bitcoin ETF right here. So pretty much we did a video back on the GBTC when a lot of people, they wanted to know how to buy Bitcoin. They wanted to know how do you get in the stock. I said, hey, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin investment trust is available over-the-counter market, and this is pretty much why a lot of sketchy companies trade. And I know you can see a lot of people talking about penny stocks this, penny stocks that. And as you know me from YouTube, you know that I don't advise you to go ahead and put your money in penny stocks because there just isn't a lot of activity. Sure, the stock might be up 100, 200%, but you got to think about it. If you're not in it for that full 100 or 200%, it's going to be, it's going to be a really scary situation, because at some point, the activity or the volume is going to dry out, and you're not going to be able to pretty much sell your shares and get out of that position, so that way you can actually capitalize on a profit or a gain. So I see a lot of people talking about the wheat ETFs and the Bitcoin ETFs and things like that. Of course, there's a lot of liquidity in this GBTC, but at the same time, I'm not sure the market is aware of it, like it's aware of Coinbase and other things like that, because now people are actually getting in and going ahead and buying Bitcoin itself rather than getting into the ETF. The ETF might be the safer route, because now instead of using Coinbase, you're able to go ahead and sell whenever you want to sell. But that's just me. That makes a lot more sense, because when you get to a lot of these cryptocurrency brokers, whatever it is, all of a sudden everybody's an investor once Bitcoin came around, because what you're going to see a lot of overcrowding in Bitcoin, because a lot of people, they're going to be chasing to get rich. People, they're going to put their money in Bitcoin because they want to get rich quick. And we all know how that comes, or we all know how that plays out, because that's what's leading people to the penny stock market. They're seeing it on YouTube, they're seeing it in on Facebook, they're seeing it everywhere else. A lot of people are suggesting people to invest or maybe buy penny stocks very cheap on, and then sell it for a higher price later on. But at the same time, we have to pay attention to if there's enough activity in that stock, for that way you can actually sell your shares. So let's say I put $10,000 in one stock, right? Let's use one right here, NSPR. I did a lesson on this. So let's say I put $10,000 in this stock right here, right? It's at 13 cents. You're like, wow, that's a lot of money if it goes up, right? But what happens when it goes down? Or what happens when you can't get your money out? So that's what you have to think about, right? If it goes up, it goes to $1, good, good for you. But at the same time, there has to be activity for you to actually exchange your shares, or for you to actually sell your shares. It just doesn't work to where, you can go ahead and buy the stock and sell it really quickly. There has to be a balance in buyers and sellers, because what happens a lot of the times is that a lot of people, they get stuck in these positions because they're not able to sell their shares, right? Or they're not able to sell all of their shares. So what happens is that even sometimes people are not even able to buy the stock because there's just not enough activity for that. And those are the red flags that you raise whenever you trade these penny stocks, whenever you trade on these coin brokers, whatever it is. If they're not federally insured, or it doesn't insure your money up, you definitely have to be careful of those, because you have to make sure that it's abiding by some kind of regulations. You have to make sure that your money is definitely insured, just in case the broker were to fail, or the broker were to shut down shop. What's going to happen to your money? Are they going to write you a check, or is that money just going to become theirs? That's what you have to ask yourself. You just can't jump into the currency market and just expect to get rich just because you see the stock going up. There has to be there has to be more thought process to just signing up for a broker if it does not have any regulations that broker doesn't that has to abide by. So like I said, what was it? I think it was Coinbase. A lot of people have Bitcoin. We see Bitcoin go up to 20,000 and fall back down to just about $11,000. And what Coinbase said is that if there's a sharp drop in price, don't expect to sell your shares that quickly. So at some point, you're going to be stuck holding these shares, and you're going to be like, man, I really need to get my money out. And it's going to cause a panic. But what the Coinbase did, they shut down the whole buying and selling process. And that's sketchy, within itself. But a lot of people, they like that. They like having that extra risk. But me, no, I like safe returns. I like to pretty much double my money without having that much risk, to where, I'm looking for those plays when I'm trying to get rich, or those lotto plays where I'm just putting in a lot of money and hoping that something breaks out. No, there's definitely a strategy that you have to follow. There's just a lot of things you have to get into before you just say, okay, I want to make I want to be a millionaire. Okay, what are you going to do? What are your steps? What are your strategies? Instead of just putting your money into this coin and just, expecting you to get rich, because we see Bitcoin is pretty much failing. We see it at 20, try to get to 20,000. That's definitely a technical resistance, or 19,000. Technical resistance right there. We see it at 15, try 15, get knocked out. And we're dealing with technicals right here when we look at Bitcoin. But that's just a lesson with among itself. But we go to oil. We look at oil. It's definitely time to short oil, because now we see 61.81 is definitely the high, or is definitely letting us know that it's getting very overbought. The momentum is not showing us that it's, high momentum, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of buy orders coming into oil. We're going to see a lot of, U.S. oil producers come out and say, okay, we're going to start to turn on the spigot and start to produce more oil. That within itself is going to cause oil prices to go right back down, and we might be looking at oil prices below $60. So what I did, I went ahead and opened up a short for oil, and DWT is definitely the one that I'm looking at. I got filled at $13, a very small position just right now, because I think that oil might have just a little bit more room to go, but at the same time, I want to start nibbling down and start to get into that short, because remember, like I said, this is one of the shorts I made over $100 a share on. You have to be very careful when you're shorting these commodities, because sometimes it might not pan out to the way that you wanted it to pan out. So you have to be very careful on that, and you have to look at the charts, and you have to understand the current events along with that commodity. So like I said, oil is going to be one, gold is going to be one, and I'm not sure if natural gas is going to be one, but we see the momentum for oil and gas is definitely out of there. So let's go ahead and look at gas. Gas is not so much of an overbought signal, but it does let us know that momentum is kind of curving, or I would say momentum is kind of leaving out of that stock. So there's definitely technical resistance right there for gas itself, but otherwise, it's just a lot of growth in the market. And as we know, historically, the stock market does produce low returns. But at the same time, that we always know that the NASDAQ does finish up for the month. So you might be looking at some NASDAQ stocks. You might want to buy some Apple, some Microsoft, whatever it is. But at the same time, I'm going to wait for a discount. I'm going to wait for something to pop off so that way I can get some at a discount, because a lot of these stocks, they're overbought. We look at Microsoft, and we see Microsoft is pretty much getting to that overbought route. So pretty much Microsoft looks good to me around $80 instead of $86, but that's just my opinion. I've been trading these stocks for a while, so I pretty much know where they're going to go. So like I said, Microsoft looks good at 80. We go to Apple. Apple looks good at probably maybe Apple is about even on the RSIs. That's what's definitely showing us. So it's right amount of buyers and sellers there. So Apple looks like it could go to 180 quickly, or it could, just pretty much just hover right there at that 170, mid 170 route. So that's just definitely my take on the first couple of days of the trading year. So I definitely will be posting more videos. So like I said, stay tuned, do some research, do more reading on the market, so that way you'll understand where a lot of these stocks go. And remember, if that broker is not federally, or if it doesn't follow FINRA, SIPC rules, if it doesn't follow any regulations, you should be asking, what happens if this broker's collapse, or this broker shuts down shop after the Bitcoin or the, whatever this cryptocurrency market dries out? What's going to happen to this broker? Is this broker going to close down? And after the broker closes down, you have to ask, what's going to happen to my money? So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. So that's all I have. Take care.